Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are with episode number 51, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your social media marketing and your business and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And today I am so stoked to have Michelle Weimer with me. And she is a high performance coach. And I would love you to just say hi. First of all, hi, Michelle.
Hey, everyone. How are you? Glad to be here.
And I'm glad to have you. And I just would love, instead of me reading a bio and boring everybody, I would love you to tell everybody a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you help people.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So as you said, I'm a certified high performance coach. And really the way I help people is, I think that there's so many of us in the world who are overwhelmed, we're struggling, we're just trying to survive and get by. And so the clients that I work with are at that point in their lives where they're like, you know what, that's enough. And I know that I have the potential for more. I know that I'm ready for more in my life. And so we really work on going to that next level, to go from just surviving to thriving and, living the life that they want. I'm a firm believer that we define success for ourselves and that success is really about happiness. And so often we can get off track from that. But when you get back on track and you start to put the principles in place that I teach and train my clients on to go to that next level, it's just amazing to see the shift. So I like to sometimes think of myself as sort of that, transformational success coach, because it's really what happens when my clients work with me is they go from, they transform from where they are into really a place of being happy with their lives, being successful and enjoying what they're doing, just enjoying life.
It's kind of interesting. Coaching is such a, when somebody says, well, what's a coach? What does a coach do? How, they'll say well, what do I do with a coach? So what do you do to make, when somebody first comes to you, for the first call, what do you do to ease them into it and help them, acclimate a little bit more to talking with a stranger over the phone?
Well, you know what? It's really interesting because I've been coaching now since 2005. And when I first started working with people, and even now, sometimes I start to work with someone and it seems a little bit awkward to be on the phone or on a Zoom call. Although now after COVID, of course, that's become very much normal. But I think that once we start working together, they become very comfortable. And, as far as how to talk to somebody about what a coach does, I think of myself oftentimes as a trainer or a mentor, as a guide, as someone to hold them accountable and to really challenge them. And honestly, most of the people that I work with, when they hit that point where they're ready for coaching, they're like, yeah, you know what? I want this. I want more. I want to be challenged. I want to go to that next level. I know the potentials within me. And, in particularly working with people in business, I think that it becomes a matter of, they know that they want to go to another level in their business. And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's people who are in transition. They want to start a business and they're like, you know what? I want this. I don't know exactly how to go about it. And so one of the first things that we do, in one of the first sessions is I help clients get clarity. And clarity is really important because if you're not clear about what you want or how you're going to get there, you just flounder and you're stuck. And so I think that piece of clarity gives them peace of mind. And that's one of the first things that we begin with.
What would you say is the first thing, so say that I wanted to be coached and what would be like a criteria for that? Is there some moment that like, how do you, I don't know, how would you tell somebody that doesn't know if they need a coach that they do need a coach?
You know what? I would say that the first process that I always go through with people is I have I do strategy sessions with people who think they might be ready for coaching, and quite honestly, the willingness to want to change, to want to do the work, is really important when it comes to a coach or a client working with me. Because I have people all the time who'll say, oh gosh, you should talk to this person or that person. They really need a coach. I'm like, you know what? But if somebody's not willing and ready to change, they're not going to put the effort forward, because you know what? If change and transformation was easy, we'd all have done it already, and we would have done it on our own. And quite honestly, that's one of the most important aspects of hiring a coach and having someone to work with, is when you recognize that I know that I need some help here. And there's nothing wrong with that. But quite honestly, often we don't want to admit that we need help. But the thing is when you start working with a coach, I've seen it in my clients, year after year, like they just accelerate their progress. And I think that's one of the largest benefits. That's the power of coaching, is having that person there to guide you along, to keep you on track, and to accelerate the process of growth. Because, again, if change and transformation and growth were easy, we would have all already done it, and we'd all be doing and living the exact life we want. And so, back to your question, I guess, is when someone first comes to me, one of the first things we go through is a strategy session. And we talk about, again, that clarity piece, what it is their goals are, some of the things that have been potentially getting in their way, and how to immediately start working towards shifting those habits, shifting those behaviors and those thought processes that are in their way.
And I think you said something that's really key, is you have to be willing to learn and change and really be serious about, if you really want to get coaching, you really need to know, you need to, want to be teachable. Because if you're not teachable, you're not, nothing's going to happen. If you don't do anything to move forward, nothing's going to happen. I've seen that in my own life in being coached by you. So I will give you credit for my amazing transformation in so many ways, and even on a way deeper level. And one of the things that, I work with a lot of business owners, and what I've learned over the years, and I work at it in a very different capacity than you do, but I see it all the time, is that their businesses are fine, and they're making money at their business. They have a great service or a product, but the problem is that they have some mindset stuff. And, that word is used a lot. But I'm a true believer that when you work with a coach, you're not just working on, so if you need help with your business, you're just not working on your business, but you're actually working on yourself too, on the inner stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way. I mean, I remember way back when that I just used to think that, I just wasn't good enough to be in business for myself. Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of, especially women entrepreneurs, I know a lot of women entrepreneurs that really struggle with this, especially depending on what they do or in what different places they go to and network and stuff. I know I felt that in the beginning. I don't feel that anymore. Here's the thing is what do you think, in all your coaching, and you've coached many people, all different kinds, not just business owners, but just, mothers, single people. What do you think is the main thing that really gets people stuck?
Well, you hit it when you talked about mindset, but let me just take that a step farther and clarify. It's quite honestly a lack of courage, a lack of confidence. It's as you said, that good enough piece. And the thing is that good enough story that we tell ourselves are not good enough, it manifests itself in different ways. But the truth of the matter is, you may have, I mentioned clarity earlier. You may have complete clarity about what you want, what your goals are. You may be fired up, excited, have a plan, know the actions you need to take. But if you are afraid, if you have fears, and we all do, like there's no such, like even the most, the world's most highest performers, they have fear, but they know how to move beyond the fear and take action. And so the truth of the matter is, I think we all have the potential to do amazing things, but what keeps some people from doing it is their fear. And, again, as I said, fear manifests itself in many different ways. It's one of the things I teach to my clients and that I talk about quite often with them because it shows up. And the thing that I notice that really shows up is every time someone has gone to another level and they're ready to go again up to one more level, another notch or expand out of their comfort zone, those fears and those stories and those limiting beliefs, they can rear their ugly heads and they can, it's kind of like they come knocking again. And so the thing is about that, as I said, high performers, we all have fears, but we know how to move beyond them. And when you start to learn how to identify those fears and you know how to work past them and work through them, you get through them so much faster. And again, that's what I was saying earlier about working with a coach accelerates the process, because once you know how to identify your fears, you have that awareness and you know what you need to do to move beyond that. You every time you start to step out of the comfort zone and go to another level, then you're like, oh, there it is again. All right. I'm I'm in my head. Okay, boom, this is what I do. And you just move out of it so much quicker.
Yeah. And I see that all the time, even in my own life, is that, when I'm afraid of doing something, I feel it. I know it's there, but then I just kind of move forward. And I think moving forward is a very key piece. So it's interesting. A lot of people that are listening right now are people who are either in business, or there could be some coaches on the line, or there could be some just regular people that don't own their own business, but are thinking of doing it. And with COVID and everything, a lot of people have decided that that's what they want to do, is they want to have their own business. And so I always like to speak to the business side of owning your own business. And my question to you is, what do you enjoy most about being in business for yourself?
Well, quite honestly, I think being in business for myself, the thing that I love most is I get to make my own rules and the freedom that I have. And let me just preface that with saying it requires a lot of discipline to be an entrepreneur and to own your own business. But with discipline comes freedom. When you set, I can tell you, I started my own business in 2005. And the reason I did that was so that I could set my own hours. But what I learned is that I wanted those hours, because I wanted to spend time with my kids when they were babies and small. I had to be disciplined and do the work and be highly productive and get things done in the hours I was in the office if I wanted to have the freedom that I needed later on. So, for me, again, the thing I love the most, and still to this day, because, my girls they're teenagers, and I have one that I just sent off to college, and we are very active. We travel a lot with sporting events. And so I have the freedom to set my hours, to set my schedule. And sometimes that does mean I have to work late at night to get an article written or get client session notes done and sent to them in a timely manner. So there's that discipline piece, but I still have the freedom to get to pretty much do what I want to do. And I'm a firm believer. I always say this: you can have it all in life if you get clear about what all means to you, and you're willing to get out of your own way in order to create it.
Yeah. And if you're taking notes, definitely write that down. Can you say that again? Because it's just so profound.
I believe that you can have it all once you get clear about what all means to you, and you're willing to get out of your own way and do the work to create it.
That's awesome. And being a business owner comes with its share of problems maybe, or challenges, I should say. That's
challenges.
Probably a better word.
We like that word. Coaches like the word challenge.
What would you say your biggest challenge is in being in business for yourself?
Early on for me, my biggest challenge was marketing, because I have a background, and my whole life has been about serving others and helping people reach their highest potential. I have a master's in counseling. I was a school counselor for 10 years before I transitioned into coaching. And so I knew that side of things. Like, I knew how to help people, absolutely, but I didn't know how to get people to me. So the marketing side was very difficult. And in particular, then also having the time to do the marketing, the social media, and get yourself out there, because, the reality is you could be the greatest at what you do, but if you don't know how to market that, you're not going to have business. So I think that has been the biggest challenge for me, or it was, and it really still is, in terms of having the time to do the marketing and the social media and getting myself out there and visible, when what I really want to be doing is just working with clients. That's what I love.
Interesting. Being in business for yourself, and as you know, has its good days, it has its bad days. Maybe there's days that, quite frankly, I know that sometimes I don't even want to come to work. What do you do to get yourself out of that mode? Because I know everybody has it. There comes, maybe after a long weekend or a long vacation, or maybe just after a rough day the day before, and you just kind of need rest. And I know some of your coaching techniques talk about taking rest and stuff. So tell us a little bit about what to do when you're feeling the blues about not wanting to go to work the next day.
Gosh, there's so many things. I could talk forever on that, because I love that topic of motivation and empowerment. But and productivity. I think you kind of touched on it when you talked about rest. There's different types of energy that we have. We have physical energy, which is the one most people know about, but we have also mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, and that not feeling like going into the office and doing the work often is the result of the energy levels being low. And sometimes it's an emotional thing. Honestly, lately, if you are watching the news or anything like that, to keep your emotional energy high is difficult. If you're super stressed and overwhelmed, which, a lot of times I'll work with people and they just have so many things on their plate and they're so busy that their mental energy, they're already exhausted mentally, and that just wears them out physically and emotionally. And then, of course, the physical side, like people are burning the candle on both ends, trying to get so much done. If you've had a long weekend, but you didn't rest because were busy doing a million things, how do you get back in the office and hit that reset button? You've got to rest. So yeah, I think energy is a huge component of high performance, of being able to be highly productive. I say this all the time, like, you don't always need more time. Like, everybody thinks, oh, if I only had the time to get things done, if I only had the time, if I had more time. And the reality is, quite often, it's not more time that you need, it's more energy. Because if you have the physical and mental and emotional energy to get things done, to like really focus in, to move through things, it's amazing how much more you can get done. Think about this. Like, if you were tired, physically tired, and you were trying to work on something in your office, how much longer do you think it probably takes you, because your focus isn't there? That's the mental energy. Your focus isn't there. Versus if you're well rested, you've got the physical energy you need, mentally you're focused because you're not stressed out thinking about a million other things. Boom, you just get things done. And so you're more productive. So yeah, I think energy is huge.
Yeah, that's really good advice for all the business owners out there, and for all the people who are thinking of going into business for themselves. Mm-hmm. Even in life general. Really, honestly, when you're meeting with people and hanging out with people, you have to go into that with a lot of energy.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Who wants to work with somebody that is like, super, super downer and boring? But you know what? The great thing is, when you learn how to as I said at the very beginning, I believe that, we all need to define success for ourselves. And to me, success is about happiness. If you're not happy doing what you're doing, if you're not happy in your life, then it doesn't matter what your bank account says. It doesn't, none of it really matters. If you're not taking care of your health, it doesn't matter. Like success is happiness to me, and happiness is a high energy emotion. So it's easy to show up and be pleasant and, have high energy with someone when you naturally are happy about life. And I know that's hard right now. Like, don't get me wrong. I literally had to, talk myself up energetically about 2 weeks ago. And because I was like, man, the world is crazy. And I had just sent my daughter off to college, and I get it. Like we all have struggles, but you don't have to stay in that space.
Yeah, that's so true. Your business is all really about serving others and helping others. Has there ever been a time in your business where, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've been asking pretty much every business owner this that has come to the line, is that, has there ever been a time that you had to fire someone or not work with them because it was no longer serving them or you?
Absolutely. Yes. You know what? Part of the reason that I do strategy sessions with people at the very beginning is not just for me to help them out and get them started, kind of kickstart into, that next level for them, but it's also to give me an opportunity to see if they are coachable, if they are an ideal client, someone who's ready to do the work. And there have been times when I have either not even offered my services to someone after a call like that, or who I have worked with for, say, the first 12 weeks. I always start out for 12 weeks working with clients, with my one-on-one clients. And after that first 12 weeks, I didn't invite them to continue to work with me because they weren't, they were, I guess, not in a space where they were ready to take ownership of their actions and their responsibilities. I'm very much about empowering people. And also, I think that when someone makes a lot of excuses and doesn't, again, do the work, they're not growing, and then we both end up frustrated. So yeah, I absolutely have had to, I don't know if I'd call it firing someone, but definitely saying, thank you and goodbye.
I was having a conversation with another business owner, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, when we were talking, and we were talking about when we say no to, like, and you've said this over and over again in our coaching sessions, mm-hmm. but when we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. And yeah. Interestingly enough, when you're in business for yourself, and I want everybody to listen to this, because you need to recognize and be okay with it. And that's the thing. And be okay with saying no to someone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that is something that is really important, because a lot of times, I know in my own business, I've said yes to something, and it's totally taken me off where I want to go in my business, or right. It has nothing to do with my business. So I wanted to just encourage people out there to you don't have to say yes to everything, even when you're starting out.
Yeah.
Pick the clients that you just resonate with, that you can help and serve, and right. You will be a winner all the time.
Right. Well, and you know what, Lauren, it goes back to, we were talking about energy a few minutes ago. If you are working with someone and they are sucking the life out of you because they're exhausting, that's taking you away from others. So that concept of when you say, yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, is exactly that. If you say yes to tasks that are not, they're very difficult for you, instead of perhaps asking for help or hiring out, when you take on a client who is a very, very difficult client, and your gut is telling you we all have done it. I know I've said yes to a client, had them work with me, but I knew when I was saying yes to let's work together, that it was not a fit, and I regretted every minute of it. It was exhausting to work with that client. Usually when I get off the phone with a client, I'm super fired up. They're super fired up. We're both energized. And yet, if you say yes to something that's not a fit for you, it wears you out for one thing. And then it means that it's taking time away from something else. And so you end up saying no to something else, whether it's another person in business, another opportunity in business, whether it's your family, your spouse, whether it's your own health that you're saying no to. You end up saying no and compromising somewhere. And that's where we tend to get ourselves into trouble. And we, why people end up overwhelmed and stressed because they haven't said no enough.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question because it just popped in my head, and only because just for clarification for people out there that don't know the term high performance and high performance coaching and stuff like that. You didn't start out as being a high performance coach, but you moved into it, you got certified, and it really, as being a participant in it and being coached by a high performance coach and seeing the other way that you coached, I feel like the high performance coaching for me really puts me into the groove in my life and really actually has brought so much clarity. Mm-hmm. Can you say a little to, what exactly, just tell a little bit about some of the concepts that you teach in high performance so people, because, when you're working with somebody, you want to make sure that not only do you get taught, but you also make a lot of big changes in your life. And you want to make sure that the person that you're working with is going to help you get to that spot. So
right.
I, just share a little bit about that because there may be somebody out there that may need some help.
Sure. So the thing that really sets high performance coaching apart from some other forms, and believe me, I'm not knocking any of the others. There's many different types of coaching styles out there. And I can tell you, when I first started coaching, the certification program that I did at that time left me complete freedom to design and develop my own coaching program. But what I love about the way that I coach my clients now is everything that I teach is based on scientific research and study. And what has been proven is that it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what your educational background is. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is, your ethnicity. Like, those things are not necessarily what high performers have in common. What people who perform at a high level in their lives have in common are concepts that I teach to my clients. There are these behaviors and these traits and these characteristics that can absolutely be learned and developed. So that's the beauty of it, because it doesn't matter where you're starting. And to not scare anybody off, sometimes I think people think, oh, high performance, oh, that doesn't seem like me. But if you think about just the fact that you want to, and that you have the potential for more in your life, that means you just want to go to a higher level. And I think you can, whatever high performance means to you may mean something different than what it means to me. And that's absolutely okay. And what I love, love, love about the concepts that I teach is it doesn't matter what your goals are, because the concepts to get you to them are the same across the board. As you mentioned earlier, I work with entrepreneurs. I work with people who have brick and mortar businesses. I work with stay-at-home moms. I work with athletes. It doesn't matter what their goal is. The concepts that I teach and train on are the same. And that's based on research.
And we didn't even touch on this, but you work with, you've been doing these videos for this organization called Rush. And it's been, for me watching that and seeing you just thrive in that, and just, being able to mentor young women and people who would need high performance concepts as a young person and learn them that early, which is really, really cool. And, when you first introduced high performance coaching, it's kind of interesting. I always thought, it's like what I went to right away is when I was thinking about it, it's like, I don't want to be mediocre anymore. I want to be on a level with other high performers.
Mm-hmm.
And, I work my best at doing that, as you do, and so many of your clients do.
Yeah. Yeah. What I like to say is when comfortable isn't comfortable anymore, that's when it's time to do something, right? It's like, because we do get to this place in our life a lot of times, which is really actually how I got into high performance. Was I was at this place in my career and my business where I was like, everything's fine. Everything's going along okay. But I knew there was something more. I knew I could serve at a higher level. I knew that I wanted more. And so being comfortable where I wasn't comfortable anymore. And that's another sure sign that you're ready to go to another level.
I would like to just, thank Michelle for coming to this, being on my podcast, the Biz Gone Social podcast. And, we talked about challenges, but actually in a good way, Michelle has a challenge coming up. And you want to share a little bit about that, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you alluded to this earlier, like sometimes I even have to have a talk with myself. So a few weeks ago, I literally had to have a talk with myself, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's almost fall. Every year I find that with my clients, with my business, fall is a time when people are like, oh God, I've got to get back on track. Like they've been goofing around all summer and then it's time to get going again. But also I think that, we've been now dealing with COVID for 18 months and people are getting exhausted again from it, especially as numbers start to spike again. And there's just this negative energy. And so, I hit this point a couple of weeks ago and I was like, okay, it's time to get myself back on track. It's time to no more looking at anything negative on the news, no more engaging in any kind of conversation like that. It's time to just really focus on business, family, happiness, and get things going again. And just really start thriving again. And I think that's something that I try to do every single year with my clients and with my community is help them hit the reset button so they can finish the year strong. And so, I decided, this is a great year to do this, to kind of help people get out of that monotonous mode of just surviving and really start thriving again. And so, September 20th was when we're starting. I'm going to it's called the 5 to Thrive Challenge. 5 to Thrive, because it's 5 concepts in 5 days that I'm going to be teaching you to help you get back on track so that you're not just surviving, but you're thriving. And it doesn't mean that you're going to, have everything all put together in 5 days. I mean, like that's part of getting back on track though, and thriving each day for those 5 days. I'm going to teach you what you need to do to work towards creating that happiness and joy that you want in your life again, and how to achieve the goals that you have set. Because let's face it, it is coming to the end of the year. And so if you're at this point and you're looking at the calendar going, wow, I have so much I still want to do, then it's really time to, kick it into high gear and get moving on those things. And so, I'll be teaching 5 core concepts that will help you get yourself back on track and thriving again. And I really believe that within 5 days, you're going to feel a difference. I mean, I guarantee, I just really think so.
That's awesome. I think that I highly recommend really taking this challenge to everyone out there. You will learn so much from Michelle. I'm going to be dropping some links down in the post below and in the description of this podcast that you can click on and sign up for this challenge. It's going to be this coming Monday on September 20th. And so really, if you are, struggling with some things or you just want to up your game a little bit, make sure you sign up for this challenge. And if you need anything else from Michelle, I will drop her website, so she can just, so you can contact her on the contact page and set something up with her. She has a lot of variety of things on her website that you can have an introductory call with her, a strategy session, a kickstart call, whatever you would like. And I will drop the contact page to you to get in touch with her. So again, thank you all out there who are listening. And as always, we just really had a lot of fun today learning about what somebody does in their business, how they help people, and how they serve people. And until next week, I will see you soon.
Thanks, Lorraine. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.